It is that time again. As always, we are halfway through the week. We are your place to be for all things rock, all things metal, all things songwriting tonight, and everything in between. As always, we are your islet of misfit toys. We've got Bobby Dreyer. We've got the Psycho Steve, Jason Perlswag, Angel Alamo. I'm Jay. But fact of the matter is we are joined with a very special guest when it comes to tonight, because the fact of the matter is we are the co-hosts collectively of a show. We come from all kinds of different backgrounds, all kinds of different experiences when it comes to music, from press to writing to playing to interviews to all that kind of stuff, with a lot of collective history. And the fact of the matter is everything that we put together is still probably about 5 lifetimes short of taking up 5 years of this gentleman's entire musical history. So we really want to thank you and appreciate you for coming and joining us this evening, Mr. Desmond Child.
Hey, hey.
Yay.
Hey.
So thank you so much, Desmond, for taking some time out this evening. It truly is an honor right off the bat, and we definitely appreciate you for it. And how's your day been?
Wow. It's been a long day. I have like 3 people in the hospital. You know, 2 for COVID and 1 had surgery for cancer. So it's been a stressful day with that. And, pins and needles on the COVID thing, man.
Yeah.
And it's like, so that, that's the reality. And otherwise, it's been a great day.
Awesome, man.
I was at my office. Yeah, I was at my studio.
Oh, awesome, man, for sure. So coming off of what you were just saying about COVID, since we are now out of 2020, which is basically the musical year that was erased from history. But now that we're in 2021, the thing I wanted to jump into is, from my understanding, is that your autobiography is scheduled to come out this year.
Yeah.
And I'd love to have you talk a little bit about that, because I can't really imagine that your autobiography would be anything shorter than the size of War and Peace. So talk a little bit about putting out the autobiography, what your thoughts were about writing a book and keeping such a life lived in so many words.
Well, it was painful. It took about 4 years to co-write it with David Ritz, who's written a lot of books on, musical personalities like Joe Perry and Marvin Gaye and Ray Charles and Aretha Franklin, and so he's like, today I was texting with him. I called him, he's my Merlin. He's like my Yoda. When I went to interview with him, he asked me 2 questions and I burst into tears. And that's when we knew we had to work together. So I just it's 4 years working on it, and it has a cinematic sweep. So it's not one of those biographies that and then I wrote and then I worked with, those kind of boring songwriter autobiographies. No, this one is like a movie, and there was a lot of drama all the way through it, and there still is. So I'm like, it looks like I'm going to self-publish it. I was hanging on a thread. I had somebody interested, and then they stopped calling us back, and maybe they went COVID on me or something. I don't know. So I'm just going to go ahead and just put it out myself in a couple of months on Amazon. And, a lot of people are publishing their own works. And, well, maybe I won't sell as many, but at least I own the whole thing, And so I'm very, very happy about that. And it's going to be called Desmond Child, Living on a Prayer, Big Songs, Big Life.
Very cool.
Wow.
So watch for that in a few months. Yeah, I'm doing it, and it's just so great because it's like drilling down into like real emotional areas. And I just thought, well, I was thinking about it the other day because we're also starting interviews for a documentary that mirrors the book. And I kind of set out like, well, who am I? Why would anybody be interested in me? And then the who am I question is important because I sort of made a career by being a chameleon. Like whatever I landed on, I would turn into. So if I was writing with somebody of a certain kind of genre, I'd make sure I walked in the same kind of clothes they wear, talked the same way, made them feel really comfortable so that they'd open up to me. And so you give yourself over to help them bring their soul out, their story out in the music. And then it's like, where's me? And so that's always been a question, for me, because I had a very difficult childhood. So to survive and to make it in the world, I had to kind of pretend till I made it. I had to fake it till you make it. That's what Steven Tyler always said to me. And then to feel authentic. And so when I look back at all the shit I did, man, it's like I worked my ass off. I was a studio rat. I was like doing sessions and producing and for years upon years upon years. And I gave up a lot of my son's childhood, being gone a lot. And for what? It's like being driven, to make sure that, I could support my family and all of that. It's like wake up in the morning and just get at it. And then, it's like I joke that I'm working half, it's like part-time now, 12 hours instead of 24. It's just a half day. It's a half day. And so I don't know, that's a rambling thing, but I think it's essential, especially in this world where I give myself over so much to my phone. My nose is in that phone nonstop. I'm like on that Instagram. By the way, my address is at Desmond.child. And I also have another one that because my original group, Desmond Child and Rouge, reformed. We re-released our remastered 2 albums. And, we have on Instagram too, Desmond Child and Rouge, at Desmond Child and Rouge. And we did a lot. So if you go on Desmond Child and Rouge, you'll see us in our prime. You don't see any pictures of, old decrepit people, it's like kind of talking about the old days. No, we don't talk about the old days. We're there. You come to us, you hop in a time capsule with us. And we also have a website like that with a little documentary about us and everything. Our bios don't go past the point when we were a band. So how cool is that? Yeah. So nothing that happened after exists in the world of Desmond Child.
And as a quick little follow-up to the whole book question that I think is important, especially with so many people putting out books, autobiographies, their memoirs and things like that, and you get a lot of the follow-ups later after they published it. When you were writing and thinking back over your life and the things you wanted to write about, the things you wanted to talk about, and then possibly the things that you would want to speak on that might ruffle some feathers, did you have any difficult moments putting in your book where you're looking at it going like, I don't know if I want to say that, or, well, if I don't speak on this, then I'm not being authentic?
Well, I working with David Ritz, I mean, we talked about everything and I revealed everything. I mean, they're on his tapes, just like everyone I slept with, everything. And he's great at creating something for the general reading audiences. So he would steer me, and we edited and all that into things that had substance rather than, kind of gripes and fights and things that were kind of unpleasant, because they weren't really about my soul's journey.
Sure.
That goes more in the gossip, column or something, and how the songs impacted, the world, but how they also impacted my life, and how, I worked with all of those people. And if you look around, the artists that I worked with still can play big places.
Yeah.
Once COVID's over. But they stayed playing in, stadiums and arenas and all that. Some of the other bands of, like, let's say the 80s, who didn't work with me, I don't know. I guess there's some oldie caravans of some, like, hair bands that are floating around. I don't know.
Or if they have hair.
Maybe they should have called me.
Oh, I thought I was the one with the nails on the show, but
Well, Bobby, why don't you just jump right in with your claws there, dude?
all right. So wait, I got to take a sip of the Cosmo here. Got to keep the energy flowing. So nothing like a Kettle One Cosmo to get you festive. But Desmond, so two things. Today I was with a gentleman, David Ivory, producer here from Philadelphia, worked with Hailstorm, The Roots, Silvertide.
Hey, wait, you said the magic word, Hailstorm. I'm writing with Lizzie next week, three sessions in person.
Here's David Ivory found Lizzie Hale. David's the one who brought Lizzie up. And so tell,
I even just saying her name, I get goosebumps all over. I think she's one of the greatest, rock artists ever. And she's got such a poise and sense of self and confidence and taste. It's just, I can't say, enough amazing, great things about her. I saw her, she was in the show with Alice Cooper at the Opryland.
Yeah.
And she, took over that place like I hadn't seen in so many years. Like a star was on that stage with the audience in the palm of her hand. I just love her.
Well, Lizzie is amazing. So it was interesting. David brought up and goes, hey, let Desmond know. He and I both have a song on an album we did back in '89 for a band, big in their late 70s, early Molly Hatchet. It was on their Lightning Strikes Twice. And it was funny when we talked about it prior to the show, you had that, deer in headlight look. And I was like, what, did I say something wrong? But it was funny because the song that's on there is on two other albums, and got to put it out to the, a lot of our fans out there. If they could figure it out, ooh, good to give. But it was interesting to hear Danny Joe Brown, knowing it was his last album with Molly Hatchet, sing this iconic song. And I'll let you go into it right there.
Well, first of all, Molly Hatchet, you're right. It was on 4 other albums: Bonnie Tyler, Kiss, Ace Frehley, and Robin Beck.
5 albums that
all in 5. The same song. It's like the old days when everyone would sing, like Strangers in the Night. You'd have a Tony Bennett version and a Frank Sinatra version and, Sarah Vaughan version. I love that because the song was so good that they didn't care they didn't write it. They just wanted to get up there and sing it. And it's one of the funnest songs. The song's called Hide Your Heart. And I co-wrote it with Paul Stanley and Holly Knight, they had started the song, and it was originally called Bite Down Hard. And then, Paul brought it to me, and we started working on it. He called up Paul. He said, hey, can Desmond jump on this song? And we changed it to Hide Your Heart to make it more broader. And, the storyline is very, West Side Story. And in fact, it's very Desmond Child and Rouge, because that's the first thing I ever wrote with Paul Stanley, a song called The Fight, which was on our first album. And then I said, okay, he had asked me to write a song with him. I said, well, you first have to write a song with me for my record. So he did. It's called The Fight, which we co-wrote with David Landau, John Landau's brother. And then I said, okay, and so now it's time to write a song with you for your band. So I went to SIR, and Kiss was rehearsing. They took a lunch break. I don't think Gene said 2 words to me. And we pulled off the big canvas cover on a big grand piano that was like stuffed in the corner. And I started playing the chords, and I had already, a little bit of the, a start. And we built on that. And the song is called I Was Made for Loving You. And
Yeah.
I think I got the better end of that deal than he did.
I think so.
And then, just so you know, the rockyology of it, he then took our start into the studio and finished the song with Vinny Poncia, his
So
producer.
that would be this album that you.
Yeah. Why don't I have a record that looks an award that looks like that? They didn't give me shit.
Well, like Steve,
Gene is very tight with money. Gene is very, very tight with the money.
I'm not saying a word.
Well, on that note, let's bring in our resident Kiss guy who knows the band better than anybody. Psycho, I think they owe Desmond a little plaque action there.
All right. So I will text Gene after the show. The question I have, actually, it's from my oldest son, Jack. He's a huge Kiss fan, Bon Jovi fan, Alice Cooper fan, most of the artists and a fan of you, of course. He wants to know your songwriting style, as far as in, where do you start with? Chorus, verse, or how do you start a song? Like, when a song comes to you, do you have like Post-it notes in the Bentley or the Jeep Grand Cherokee?
No.
Okay.
I hardly drive the Bentley. It has like almost no miles on it.
Okay.
I'm scared to drive it. No. Oh, and that's a good story. How I bought that Bentley. That's a Kiss story. You know the story, right?
Yeah, you told us last year. But you can say it then. It's cool. Share.
Well, Paul was thinking of getting rid of his Mercedes that was like the most souped up, like tweaked out sedan. It was like the sound system in it was like wow. And so he was thinking, he said, why don't you come down and look at this car with me? So we went down to, Beverly Hills Bentley, and there was this black, Arnage T. It was 2005. It looked like what Queen Elizabeth would be driven around in. It looked like a limo, but it had a sportiness to it. And so he said, what do you think? I said, it's fantastic. You should get this. By the time we left, I had bought it. And kept his Mercedes for another 7 years. He didn't get rid of it at all. He just wanted the thrill of buying a Bentley and not have to pay for it.
Cheapo.
But that Bentley, it was really an indulgence. But when you come from the ghetto, like I did, the projects in Liberty City, Miami, where my mom's beat up junk car didn't even have gas in it, and she had to walk blocks and blocks to a bus, and it was just horrible. And so, to me, taking my mom in my Bentley to the Beverly Hills Hotel with when my sons were little, and pulling up there and them running out of the Bentley. And my mom looked around. She said, "Is this your car?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "It's very nice." And it was like, kind of like, wow, that was a long road from the ghetto to pulling up to the Beverly Hills Hotel, in that car. And it's my pride and joy. And, my sons would always get on this. It's a gas guzzler. And they looked it up. It gets like 2 miles per gallon or something, like the worst of any car that ever existed. But you know what? I didn't guzzle that much gas. I think it's got 15,000 miles on it since 2005. But it's like a jewel. And so I just always, think fondly. Every time I get in it, I think fondly of Paul, because it was so over the top. And so my other friends just say it's ghetto fabulous.
Nothing wrong with that.
That's awesome.
But what were we talking about?
Steve, rehash your question, buddy.
Question is, Jack wants to know, how do you start writing a song?
Okay, I got it. The strongest way to write a song is to come up with a killer title that just the title itself plays itself. Just like, You Give Love a Bad Name. When you have I had that title in my back pocket when I came to work with Bon Jovi that day, and the song just came to life because the song, I like titles that have tension of opposites, that have irony. So You Give Love a Bad Name. How could love be bad? That's the mind immediately engages. So I want to know how they did that math. Or I hate myself for loving you. Or heaven's on fire. How can heaven be on fire? Hell is on fire, right? No. Heaven's on fire because we're talking about something else, And, like a song I co-wrote with Diane Warren and Michael Bolton, how can we be lovers if we can't be friends? So if you look, Livin' La Vida Loca, just like songs that have titles that have irony, they explode the song out. And I did a fantasy camp, and
David Fishoff, great guy.
Yeah. And I think I'm going to do it again because I did this dare, this kind of challenge, because somewhere along the way, somebody said, "Fix my fate," and it's like, fix my fate. Okay, everybody who's ever listening has to write a song called "Fix My Fate." And then we'll sit down and we'll listen to everybody's version of Fix My Fate. Because Fix My Fate has alliteration, the 2 F's. And then how can you fix fate? Fate is like unfixable. So you see the irony. That's why I love that title. So anybody who's listening tonight has to write a song called Fix My Fate. Like the copyright office is going to go insane. Like, how can there be this many songs called Fix My Fate?
That's awesome. That's super duper cool.
My pen.
Mr. Perlzweig, I think it's about that time for you, friend.
Well, hey, hold on a second. I think he has more to say.
Absolutely.
Okay. Jody Marr, who's a songwriter, producer that did Mika and Grace Kelly and all that, she's a professor at Belmont. And I've known her since she was just like almost a teen. She had a band in Miami, and I found her, and she looked like Marilyn Monroe. And anyway, she's incredible, and she and I are co-writing a college textbook on songwriting. It hasn't existed. And no one's ever written a college textbook where it's 12 chapters times 3, where you could actually base a course on it. And it's none of this, like autobiography, like when I wrote this and that. It's like a real drill down on everything that has to do with songwriting, the business of songwriting, the archaeology of songwriting, the rockyology, where we go from how did songs in anthropology, how did music start? On the other end, in the news, they're talking about artificial intelligence, kind of figuring it out how to come up with a song, which I think is like when a robot writes a better song than me, I'm gonna quit. So that's a dare to the AI people.
Nice.
Write a song better than one of mine, and then I'll just shut down.
Retire.
Good luck
Go
with
ahead.
that.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
So,
no shit.
Listen,
Okay, I want to say something more. Once you have the title, and then because language has rhythm, has melody in it. Sorry, has melody. So, if you say, let's see, like my Alice Cooper song that I co-wrote with him for the album Trash, Poison.
Yeah.
Poison, 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 poison. Your lips are venomous, poison. Because within the word poison, it already has melody. So then, once you put the ideas together, like how are you going to do the story that sets up that title? It sets itself, because then when you have that, then the music is the scoring for the script that's already been made. You make the movie first, and then you add the score to it. See? So then if you're doing a scary song, to put scary chords on it. If you're doing a happy song, then you're going to find that penny whistle from, Titanic. Or like whatever. So you'll score the feeling, and then it multiplies the effect of your message. Because I used to write, and the person who taught me all this, by the way, was my mentor Bob Crew, who co-wrote all the songs with the Four Seasons and with Bob Gaudio and many other songs like Lady Marmalade and all that. He wrote with me for 2 years, and I learned like the way to write songs and how meticulous he was. He could not go from one to the line to the next unless they followed each other in a logical way. He wasn't ever happy if the rhymes at the ends weren't exact rhymes, not just soft rhymes. Just in case anyone ever thought about it, the word enough doesn't rhyme with love. How many songs have enough and love, like, as the rhyme?
Yeah.
Because there ain't that many rhymes to love, the word love. So you start with of, that rhymes, and dove. You're shot, and you're burnt if you end a phrase with the word love. So the point is that he made me for 2 years write from noon to 6. Well, noon was lunch, and then from 1 to 6, and Monday through Friday for 2 years. We wrote 38 songs. He wouldn't start another song until we finished the one we were working on.
Wow.
He wouldn't even let me put my hands on the piano until we had a killer title. So we talk and talk and talk. We could talk all day, and then maybe something could be grabbed from things that we were saying, things that we were feeling. It was like the most incredible therapy ever. So that's the whole point. and he would always say, you don't open your mouth to talk unless you have something to say. Why should you open your mouth to sing unless you have something to say? So in the early days when I was working with Desmond Child and the Rouge, I would just play chords and improvise a melody over the chords I was playing. And a lot of people are writing to loops that already have the pre-made beat and the chords, and they're just like, kind of feeling it, and then they start, and then they mumble might, kind of sound like something, and then maybe if they're lucky, they can string that kind of sound like something with another thing that kind of sounds like something. That's not how you write a hit song. That's not what songs are about.
Wow.
No, definitely, for sure.
Like imagine the in a tribal thing, the warrior comes back. He's probably maybe the only one that made it out of the fight. And so he comes and he's crying and he's telling the story of what happened. Then his little kid tells the same story, and the story starts sounding like a song because it's much easier to memorize something with a melody than the story itself. So imagine millions of years of that happening. Why we come to, Motley Crue. If you really understand that, then you can see, in addition to the rhymes being tight at the end, especially on a chorus, because it's much easier to remember something that has a tight rhyme than something that's fuzzy. So when you're writing for stadiums, like Paul Stanley taught me to do, all those people have to sing along and remember the words on the chorus. So there's also other tricks, alliteration. Like, walked into a bar on the shore, her picture graced the grime on the door. See all that inner rhyming and alliteration. It's like, never judge a book by its cover, or who you gonna love by your lover, love by your lover. All that alliteration sticks to your soul. So that's what I wanted to say, is that alliteration, tight rhymes, telling a story so you don't go from one line to another random line, leave that to Nirvana. It's just like telling a story so that you stick with the song to the end of the song, so you know how it ended up. Not just cut and paste shit.
For sure. You just got Jason stoked with that. Nirvana, those are his boys, man.
No, but they were brilliant. But, that stuff is like really modern and random. And, and still it was catchy. Yeah. But I'm saying that in the kind of music that I wrote in the 80s, why have those songs stood the test of time?
Yeah.
I'm talking about that kind of writing. We can talk about other random stuff, but maybe not in this show. So I hope I'm not boring your tits off.
Oh, hell no.
I know
that
a
was
lot of
awesome,
fans
dude.
are enjoying the
Story
storytelling.
people for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Hits are still intact. Thank you.
So remember that. It's like if you're gonna write a song like "Fix My Fate," you already know what that means. It's like it didn't work out. God, please fix my fate.
It's like
Fix it so it goes good for me instead of bad. Fix it.
It's like
So
fix,
already, that's the story. Can't
Des-
be. Maybe somebody else has another angle on that. Fix my
Desmond.
fate in Vegas, right? Fix my fate.
Well,
Vegas.
Desmond, it's like this. It's like fix my fate and go out on this date, and then it turns into something that was
Desmond,
never meant to be
I
or meant to
think it's
be.
kind of like praying the gay away.
Right?
Can't happen.
Fix my
That, by
fate.
the way, by the way, doesn't work. But the line does.
Yeah, I
The
know.
line works,
I think
but
about
the
it.
actuality of it doesn't.
I ain't going nowhere. No.
Well, Jason, keep rolling with it, buddy. You've been super patient. And we appreciate you.
All right, so Desmond, just a really quick a few things. One is that when you were talking about how you were pretty much like locked away for like 5 days a week for 5 hours writing for 2 years, I totally understand that. Not necessarily the 2 years thing, but I get it because um, I was working on a film with a friend of mine, and we needed a script, and he's like just go into your kitchen, sit there, do not get disturbed, and just write whatever pops into your head, and just sit there and write for like a few hours, and I that's exactly what I did, and I wrote it, and if I didn't do that, it would have come out differently or not have been completed depending on the situation. So I totally understand that situation that you were in, and sometimes it has to be forced. Although other times there could be inspiration, and then it just comes to you. But I just wanted to share that. So just a really quick, a couple questions. One is, did you read all those books behind you?
No.
Okay. I was just curious. So,
I'm a very slow reader.
okay.
And even though
I am
my
too.
world is all about words, I start a book, I get so bored because it takes too long to, and then my eyes cross. I think maybe I'm a little dyslexic or something. Like it's like stuff, gets reversed, and it's like so frustrating. And I'm so hungry to know things. So
Yeah.
I'm reading books now on Marlon Brando.
Oh wow, that's cool. So my other question is, the so your life as a whole is kind of like a rags to riches story. I guess it's safe to say that. Which also is like opposites. But uh so now before you realized that you were able to do this as a career, um a lot of people, they tend to fall into a certain lifestyle or a certain um, career path that they never really intended to do. Um, is that something like how it went for you, or were you intentionally striving to be in the music industry and write songs?
I wanted to be a rock and roll star. And
Don't we all?
but I had like landmines in my life, emotional landmines, um, like things like not really knowing how to go about making things happen in the world. Wasn't that well educated. And as soon as I could, I dropped out of 11th grade and went up to Woodstock, and started playing in a little clubs there, and made my first demo with Van Morrison's band. This is 1971, and was the coffee boy at Bearsville Studios. Todd Rundgren making Something Anything.
Wow.
Um, I all I wanted was to be a star. I didn't I didn't even know how that was going to happen, but my mother was a songwriter and an amazing, like a very accomplished poet. And she struggled. She had to work at Burger King and then at night work on her music and then use every penny to make her lead sheets of her songs. And she'd go around and to nightclubs, and she was gone all the time. I was a latchkey child. Because she was driven, to try to better our lives through music, the only thing that she knew how to do. And I think growing up in a home where songs were being written all the time, I didn't know I didn't know most people didn't write songs. I thought that's the way you just go, if you're happy, happy song, sad, sad song. That was like an extension of our emotional life. So I went to rock festivals. I saw Janis Joplin, Jimi Hendrix burn a guitar, the Rolling Stones, B.B. King, Laura Nyro, Joni Mitchell. I saw all of these people. I said, that's what I want to do. I want to touch people. I want to move them like I'm being moved. I want to feel that. And really what it was is like, I want to feel that adoration, of people that are saying yes to me instead of no. And so, I had to overcome being Latino, being gay, being poor, and not educated. So somehow, some way, I became Desmond Child, with my first writing partner. She became Virgil Knight so we could be Night Child. And we were up in Woodstock making our first demos and stuff. And Desmond Child could be anything he wanted to be. Johnny Barrett, on the other hand, was like a nobody, a loser, a freak, a monster. But Desmond Child could be like Elton John, could be like anything, but David Bowie, or,
Yeah.
could be anything. So Desmond Child could have the courage to walk up to Clive Davis in the January of 1972 and hand him my demo. Virgil and I went disguised as John and Yoko, with our heads down like this, and nobody said anything. They just opened the pathway and they kept saying, John and Yoko, John and Yoko, John and Yoko. She wore a big black hat with the hair down and big, Jackie O glasses and all dressed in black. And I had, the granny glasses and the beard and, all white outfit, and we went right in there, sat at the table next to Clive Davis. When the show was over, we stood up and he looked at us and started laughing because he bought it too. And we handed him our demo, our first demo. And he wrote us like 3 months later, handwritten, saying, turning us down, because actually it wasn't that good. We thought it was amazing. But that took guts, right? And so when you say, what did I want? I wanted to be a rock and roll star. And it didn't work out, because of, like I said, booby traps in my system and the times that I was living in. I almost got there with Desmond Child and the Rouge. We were musical guests on Saturday Night Live. Wow. We had a hit. I had one of the biggest hits in the world with Kiss. And, I had a girlfriend at the time, and she and I were the founders of Desmond Child and Rouge. And we lived together in a little apartment. And then I realized, oh, wow, I'm much more gay than I am bi. And
I've been down that road.
And so we wrote our second album. I wrote the second album in 28 days and recorded it. It's called Runners in the Night, which we also re-released. And the first song's called The Truth Comes Out. It was all a confession, about the secret life that I'd been living. and trying to keep up the image of, yeah, Desmond and Maria, Desmond and Maria, Desmond and Maria, you know, and we couldn't hold it together. And then I started, all my friends started dying of AIDS, and I was terrified. So I joined all these different cults and things. And so when I was writing with Kiss and Bon Jovi and Aerosmith, I was in a commune and giving all the money I made to them because I was looking for a family. I was looking for people that, you know, I felt like I connected with. And I lost my window because I could have, if I had more self-esteem or courage or whatever, I could have said, okay, fuck it. I'm going to make a new band now, and I'm going to get out there and get in front, and I'll find a way to do it. But I went inward. You know, I'm a quadruple Scorpio. I went inward to thinking I would find happiness somehow, or that it would all work out somehow emotionally. And then, you know, what happened was then I started making money by co-writing with all these bands. So I just worked and worked and worked, and I was giving all the money away. And you know, then I went to Russia in 1988 with a bunch of songwriters. My God, you know, Cyndi Lauper and Diane Warren and Holly Knight and, you know, Michael Bolton, Brenda Russell. It was 48 songwriters. Mike Stoller, who wrote Hound Dog, you know, just like Barry Mann, You Lost That Love and Feeling. I mean, like the greatest songwriters of all time. And we were doing this glasnost, like hands across the continent or whatever, to co-write with Russian writers. So it was like really very well handled, but I snapped out of it when I saw that country and how those people lived and the fear that they lived under, because they were just desperate for even blue jeans to be, you know, to feel like part of the youth culture that they had missed out on. And, you know, within a couple of years, that wall came down and, you know, I'm not sure where they're at now, but there was, you know, was this hope of, you know, freedom and all this kind of stuff. So I broke away from this very heavy duty, you know, mind control cult that I was in for 4 years. You know, it was only 14 people and one leader who was our voice teacher, and very manipulative. And I always started, was feeling bad all the time because I could never get out of just, you know, being pushed down. And I had to conform. I had to look like everybody, talk like everybody, dress like everybody. When I went to Russia, it was like, oh my God, this is like a whole country that lives like how I lived. And so it broke the spell, and I left. And I met my husband, Curtis, and 32 years later, we're still together.
Yay!
So that's the story on that, and what I wanted and what I still want. You know, I sing really good. And I did an album called Desmond Child Live.
I love it. Great album.
And a little thing, and I want to keep singing. And I still study voice. And you see, I didn't wreck my voice, you know, touring for 30 years. It's still as good as new.
Nice. That's super duper awesome. Well, Angel, I think it's about that time, man, because I can imagine that the Metal Summoners and the Desmond children have been laying it on pretty thick to you.
Real quick. So I just got somebody who popped in. Desmond wants to say hi. This is my partner, Tony Coelho.
Hello, Desmond. How are you?
I don't see your head. I don't see your face.
Oh, come over
Okay,
here.
I'll come over.
Hide without a face.
Okay. Oh wait, I gotta make him get on his knees.
How are you?
It wouldn't be the first time.
That's right. That's exactly right. So, you having a good interview here?
Yeah, they're treating me pretty well.
Good.
You know, they
32
haven't asked
years
me.
with this
They
house.
haven't asked me any hardball questions that I might stumble on.
Second round.
He'll probably ask you, how do you keep a relationship together for 32? We're 22 years.
Oh, well, you know, I picked the right person.
There you go. I made a mistake, but
I
it's okay.
picked somebody who didn't want to be a rock star. Let's just start with that.
There you go. That's a good point. That's a good point.
But still looks Brad Pitt. You know, so it's like I wake up next to Brad Pitt every day. It's not bad.
Not bad at all.
I say the same thing too. Yeah, I
And
love
you
it.
see-
Curtis looks,
That's great.
that's awesome. Two boys
Awesome.
up at NYU.
That is cool. Good for you.
Yeah.
But I just wanted Tony to come in, and I mentioned, not to step on your thing, Angel, I apologize.
No,
But
no.
Tony and I mentioned before, are good friends. Desmond wrote with Mark Hudson,
Oh,
worked
okay.
on Get a Grip album, Permanent Vacation, everything. So we love Marky. He talked, extremely highly of you.
Oh my God, he's the best storyteller of all time.
He sure is. He loves politics too. He calls me about every other week to bitch about something going on in politics and wants an answer right now about what the hell's going on. So he's a good guy. Melissa, she's a great wife too.
Yeah, and Melissa looks a lot like my mom.
Oh, really?
Whenever I see her, it's like, whoa, looks a lot like my mom.
Was your mom
my
a ballet dancer as well?
No, my mom was a songwriter, and she played guitar, and she was my inspiration when I got together with Rudy Perez to start the Latin Songwriters Hall of Fame and La Musa Awards. And
Oh,
so we're going to have our 10th anniversary next year, 2022, and we'll have a tremendous gala at the Hard Rock Hotel in Hollywood, Florida. That's who we partner with. And so it was very fulfilling because her statue, a statue of her is the award. So, and it's called La Musa because my mother's was known as La Musa, the muse.
That's awesome.
What nationality is she? What are you?
She was Cuban.
Cuban.
And so, yeah. So I'm half Cuban, and then I'm half Hungarian. That I didn't really know who my real father was till I was 18. And so that was a hard thing. But when he finally came back and came into my life, he saw I was a bit lost and put me through college and stuff. So
good for you. Well,
You know,
nice meeting you guys. Probably want to get back to your
Yeah.
subject matter, but nice to meet you.
nice to meet you.
We'll touch base when we're in Nashville. We'll be down this summer. So
Oh yeah, we'll love to do
Okay.
that.
Oh,
I'm gonna pour Bob's drink over.
no, you won't. I'll drink it.
So, Angel, why don't you jump in there, my friend?
Sure. Just want to again thank all of our fans for watching. It's a whole bunch of you, so I cannot say everybody's name, but I've read all of your names, so I just want to say thank you. And now on to fan questions.
Yeah.
First
Wait
one
a
is,
second. What kind of Latino are you?
I am Puerto Rican.
Puerto Rico.
Sí,
Well,
Puerto Rican.
when I was little, one of my many different fathers was an undertaker from Key West, from a pirate family of Key West funeral directors, and they had chains. And so we went to live in Puerto Rico, in Ponce, Puerto Rico, when I was 6 years old, and we lived in the funeral home for 2 years. And then, he died. And so then we had to leave. But I went back there with Draco Rosa a couple of years ago. He took me there to the mansion that where the funeral home was, and it was like, wow. So I love Puerto Rico, and a lot of my cousins grew up there, and of course I've worked a lot with Ricky Martin and Draco Rosa. So Puerto Rico is like the sister country to Cuba. Even our flags are almost identical. They're just reversed.
Yeah.
With the white, there's a one star and a triangle, and then the stripes, So anyway, nice to see you. And
Same here. Brian wants to know, do you occasionally wish you could go back and change lyrics to a song?
yes. And Dude Looks Like a Lady. Steven changed the line. He didn't like the line I came up with. And he's still griping about the line I came up with that he threw out. And it was the line that said, she was a long lost love at first bite. Now, it didn't make sense to me because linearly, he had just walked into a bar on the shore. Her picture graced the grime on the door. And then the next line is like that line, right? She was a long lost love at first bite. All right. And it's like, how could she have been a long lost love if he still hasn't figured out that the she is a he? See, because he goes backstage and she pulls out her gun, and then he's like, wow. But then he stays because he gets into it, because it's like, never judge a book by its cover, or who you going to love by your lover. So it's like one of the most like trans acceptance songs of all time. Before it was trans, it was that song. So I don't understand how that line works. It was a long lost love at first bite. And it doesn't work. I mean, it's what can I tell you?
Well then.
Yeah.
We all bit that hot dog the first time. Wait, well, stop, Bob. No.
I mean, can you see what I'm saying? That goes against my principles. That one line, I think my line was, I threw some cash on the floor or on the stage. Yeah, I threw some cash on the stage, something like that, because it's like you walk the bar, you see her, and then you throw money down, like if you go into a strip joint, right? So I don't know. He didn't like the line I came up with and changed it to that, which sounds really good, but if you think about it, it makes no sense. And to me, it throws the song off kilter.
It's very.
Did I answer?
But it's very
Did I answer?
Lenin-esque.
What?
Yep, you did.
It's very Lenin-esque, the way Stephen writes. Mark was even telling me that he took things from a book called Jubu to Jive, where he would just pull out black slang, and Stephen would throw things out and be like, what the hell does that mean? And
well, when we were writing, he would always end up singing, yappa dabba dabba doo. And so I started, my nickname for him is Yabba Dabba. So once I was like trying to get backstage, and there was like a sea full of fans, and it was like the stage door, and I didn't have backstage passes, but I'd gone to see them, and he comes out and he's like shaking a few hands, or signing a tit or something, and I go, Yabba Dabba, and he goes, Desmond. He pulled me out from the crowd. We went backstage. All I had to say was, it was like abracadabra. It's like my magic word with him. So go ahead. Sorry, I'm so excited.
This one's from Lonnie Hammer. Lonnie Hammer wants to know, it is said that a lot of the greatest songs have been written in minutes. For you, is there any one song you thought would come to light, but after a certain time, it just came to life in a big way?
that I thought that I had a hard
Right.
time coming to life.
Like if there's a song that was kind of slow, but then it came to life later.
Well,
Like if there's a song
like
working on it.
like these days, I can't really write a proper song in one session. It takes me 3 days. And I tell people in advance, don't book writing a song with me unless you're willing to commit 3 days and you have to make the demo. I don't care if you record the song on your record, you have to give me something, proof that we wrote the song, musical proof. And that's one of my conditions. And so, I just wrote a song with Dan Auerbach from Black Keys and Chris Regan from Ceramic Animal.
Wow.
And it took the 3 days. But by the end, they were so happy because, it really worked the way it was like day one. But I came in day two, started digging, and then no, it's not right. Came back day three, and then started ripping off things that worked, but I knew it wasn't the gold standard. The lines were kind of flat to me. So I just ripped them away and boom, there it was. And the whole song came together and they were so happy. So that's how it goes for me. I mean, You Give Love a Bad Name, we wrote in like 2 hours or whatever. I don't even know if it was that long. That song, I came in with the title. So when you have a strong title like that, it just writes itself. But if you're picking and pecking, hoping that some kind of mumbling is going to sound like something, as you play your chords and you hope that inspiration will come. I heard that word before, inspiration, right?
Right.
To me, it's like, I don't believe in inspiration. I believe in work because it's my job to be inspired all the time. All the time. Everything is a source of material. Your eyes, ears, your senses have to be always in motion in the now, So inspiration is for dreamers, man, not for winners.
Cool.
I love that quote.
That's a great
Just
line.
made it
That
up.
is a great quote.
I just made it up. Remind me, I'm going to put that in my book.
Ah,
You
I'll
should
text
print
you.
it. You should print it. Have your name
Maybe
on
another
your
tattoo.
face.
A little bit. Let me just go
Do
a little
shirt,
bit
make
deeper
a
on
shirt.
You
That's a good idea.
see, there are things that we do in life that if we have had, a difficult childhood, or maybe it's just in our genetics, or if there is such a thing as a soul, which I question, it's coming with you, some troubled thing, wait, I went off to the side. Where did I start out with? I wanted to go deeper with this thing. What were we talking about before?
Was
Sorry.
it the inspiration?
Yeah. No.
No.
I forgot now. Maybe it'll come back to me.
Okay.
Summoners, write it in the comments.
Yes, please, so I can copy and paste it.
No, but what I was going to say was really important, but it'll come back to me.
Okay.
Dude, I'm not 67 for nothing.
Dude, I forget what day it is these days.
we're not 67. I'm not 56. You're not 67.
Our good buddy Matt Porter wants to know, do you consider I Was Made for Loving You a disco song?
No. It's not a disco song. We wrote it to a dance beat that was more akin to Motown, like I'll Be There. It really had that kind of linear, almost, you could almost hear the bells, in Motown. Disco was a kind of a more linear R&B kind of thing that kind of because people wanted, like even today EDM, they want to like dance for 15 minutes to a groove. You know, it's not that much storytelling and all of that. I Was Made for Loving You came about because I had bought a little drum, like my first little drum machine, and it had like a little, it was almost a metronome. And so I had this feeling that how cool it would be to do like a strong dance beat and put heavy rock guitars to it. Because I had already been experimenting with that kind of stuff with Desmond Child and Rouge, which had Latin, had rock, had storytelling, had girl group vocals, had, Springsteen-esque lead vocals from me. I was trying to bring together all this together. So I Was Made for Loving You was different because it had like this grand kind of operatic night, like Phantom of the Opera kind of thing. I'm gonna give it all to you in the darkness. That's what I want to do. It's kind of like, it's kind of, it's spooky, and then the drive of I was made, it's just like, I'll be there. Da, 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 da. It's Motown, not disco.
Nice.
Lonnie Hammer said that what he meant to ask was some songs may take months and others take years to come to light.
I remember what I need to say, and it's really important now. People have these things that maybe, it's like their karma in life or their burden to bear, and also areas that they always fuck up. Could be relationships, could be their job, could be, their talent or their, like let's say songwriting, which is when you have to sit there and stare at an empty pad and you can't do anything, like when I worked with Bob Crew until there was a killer title on that pad. It's easy to think, this idea of writer's block, inspiration, writer's block. And it took me a long time to realize that, I had decided early on that I would never, ever have anything get in the way of my songwriting. So when it's time to work, when it's time to write, it's like all this energy comes with it. And so there's no writer's block. There's no like getting stuck, because I used all my getting stuck stuff in other areas, like relationships and other stuff. I fucked all that stuff up, but I never let it get in the way of my survival, which was trying to become one of the greatest songwriters of all time, striving for it. You never get there, but you have to strive for it. So never think, it's like songs can take different lengths of time, because not all styles require all that, but, just remember, if you get stuck, you have to look at, or in a relationship, or in your song, or at your job, you can't stand the boss. All of that's our crucible to bear. And we have to look at ourselves and say, okay, this is the thing. It's my pain, my shit, my responsibility, and now I'm going to build a song on that with that energy. So that's how I survived, and that's why if you look at, I've written over 4,500 songs, and I'm celebrating my 7th week at number one, my 6th decade of #1 songs with Ava Max, a song called Kings and Queens.
Congrats. Wow.
Congratulations, man.
Yeah. So when the world goes low, I go high. You know, it's like that song is like a lifesaver for me, you know, out of nowhere. So that's what I wanted to say. And that's really important for anybody who's sitting there staring at an empty pad. You know, like, how am I going to top? How am I going to top like Led Zeppelin? How am I going to top Bruce Springsteen? How am I going to top, you know, Bob Dylan? How am I going to top Elton John? How can you, you know, you could get so stuck on those ideas. So you have to get inside and, you know, like you're going to get in a game. You're not thinking about anything but getting in the game and getting the adrenaline going for being in the game.
Wow.
That's so awesome.
And speaking of all of your success, Rick wants to know, what do you think has led to your success across the different music genres that you have written for?
I just told you, but I can encapsulate it in drive, like my drive. And I can't even, I mean, I got an innate talent for words from my great-grandfather, my grandfather, my mother. They were great poets and writers. So I have a facility for words, even though I read so slow. But, you know, one could say, oh, well, I have talent. But really, I really believe, you know, I think it's a Gene Simmons law, you know. It's like 1% talent, 99% work, and you know, and drive, and not leaving any stone unturned, artistically or in business wise. Because if you don't have money coming in, you're gonna have to go work somewhere, and then you cut down on your creative time. So what are you gonna do? Now people can put out a record they wrote that morning. Just press send out into Spotify landia. And so with 25,000 songs being released every week, who's listening? I think there's something called Forgetify. Where
and Desmond has coined that term.
No, it really exists, right?
Yeah.
You go on it. I think that's the name of it. You go on it and you hear that song for the first time ever, and then it goes on to Spotify because one person listened to it. But sitting in that tank of unheard songs is like thousands, millions being written every day all around the world. So, okay, you can do that from your bedroom, you know, right? But so many things are, you know, being in the game. So I always say, if you really are serious about music, you move to a music town and get in with everybody, go to everybody's gig, make friends with everybody. Don't sleep with their boyfriends and girlfriends. You know, keep everybody your friend, and you know, go to all the events, and ingratiate yourself into the business, and know everything about everything. So you're encyclopedic about styles. And so, like, for me, style is so secondary because I just think about the message. You know, I was writing the other day for the first time with a group called 100 Gex. And, you know, I found they're so forward. They're so genius and ahead. I had a hard time getting into their world. I don't think they'd ever co-written with anybody. And they're coming up with incredible music, and they're also producing and remixing other people's stuff. And it's the two of them. And they're just absolute genius. And I felt intimidated because it was like, oh, now finally there's a style that eclipses me. And it's like, how can I figure this out? How can I contribute something to the song? You know, it was very, very hard. Listen to their music. It's like, wow. It's like Skrillex on acid, you know, with a lot of rock in it too. And it's like, it's crazy stuff. And their vocals are all like auto-tuned to the max. It's like, they sound like robots and shit. It's like, it's music of the future. And so, you know, I was like, wow.
That's awesome, for sure. Angel, let me jump in right quick and kick it to your question, man, and we'll save the next series of fan questions after we spin around the table. So let me put your question in, bud.
Okay. What was it like working with Meatloaf on the Bat Out of Hell 3 album?
It was a nightmare. One of the worst, lowest, you know, like the worst experiences of my life. I mean, I don't know how he made records before, but this was like old time. Like, we spent more money than Guns N' Roses, man, than Chinese Whispers. I mean, we spent millions making this record. Wow. It's like I was 9 months like a slave. It was like we were redoing the songs 3 times. And the more I got sucked in, I didn't feel I could walk away because I put so much into it. And I think it's a masterpiece. And I got him, you know, finally to get to work with Eric Vitro, the voice coach to the Stars, who I went to college with, you know, and we had always been friends. And he does just everybody, Katy Perry, everybody. And he said he refused until we were at the last like 10th of the time. And then he started taking lessons, and then he came in and started singing good. So I had to redo all the vocals from scratch with the new voice. And it was so humiliating. He would scream at me, and then he'd, you know, come around and try to apologize by grabbing my hair, pulling my head back, and giving me a sloppy kiss on the mouth. he was, you know, he isn't, believe me, the guy's not gay, but that was like a power control, you know? It's like, what do you do? Like, I couldn't get out of the death lock of Meatloaf. And, you know, I'm sure he's like a swell guy to his friends, but I think when he's in a relationship like he was with Jim Steinman, you know, that it's war. You know, it's war the whole time. And everybody had told me not to do it, but you see, Bat Out of Hell 1 was produced by Todd Rundgren.
Yeah.
And I was the coffee boy at Bearsville when he treated me like shit. And, you know, I would go in the airlock to listen to his incredible sounds. As soon as the music stopped, I'd jump out of the airlock, run to the right and around the corner, and then he would come out, go to the bathroom, whatever, come back in. As soon as I heard the music again, I would get back in the airlock and listen to this. Like, he's a genius. This is 1971, the summer of 1971. And so he had produced Bat Out of Hell 1. And then Steinman produced Bat Out of Hell 2. And, you know, Steinman was the writer of all the songs on Bat Out of Hell 1 because he was a Broadway pianist in the musical Hair, where Meatloaf was singing, and the end of Act 1, everyone's naked on stage, including him. I'm glad I didn't see that. I missed the show. I missed the show.
Oh my
God.
That's not me.
There was
That's
there
like,
was a kind of thing of there was a thing of pride with me. It was like, okay, Todd Rundgren, Jim Steinman, Bat Out of Hell 1, Bat Out of Hell 2, Bat Out of Hell 3. The challenge was so intense. I said, if I can make this work, you know, I've accomplished something. And I'm a bit competitive. So, you know, it's very, very hard. And at the end, he didn't put my name on the cover as per our contract.
Oh.
So you open the pamphlet and you see a big giant sized love letter to Jim Steinman. And then you have to turn another page, and at the very bottom is my name, produced by Desmond Child. And, you know, it was tough, man. I didn't get paid my back end. My kids were toddlers. I was gone all day, all night. You know, tell you one funny story, because we were at the Village Recorder, and, you know, the first parking spot said Mr. Loaf. The second parking spot said Mr. Child. So, you know, I'd always park my Bentley there, the famous Bentley, which, you know, is kind of long. And then he parked his whatever it was. I think it was a Mercedes.
Wait a minute. Hold on really quick. Meatloaf is one word. And he was Mr. Loaf?
Yeah, he was Mr. Loaf.
Okay, all right.
Mr. Loaf.
Continue.
Okay. So then he's in the first parking lot. But my car was twice as long as his. Therein lied the problem. So I come out, and now my Bentley has a scratch on it, like deep, all the way down.
Oh, that
boy.
bitch.
And so, yeah, you know, we asked him, and he didn't know nothing about it, right?
They never
And so I was getting like really pissed off, and so finally, I decided to play a trick, which worked. I said, "Hey, it's so great! They finally found the videotape of the parking lot, and so within the next hour, we're going to find out who crashed my car." And he comes in, he's like shaking a little bit, and he's in front of the mic, and he goes, "I did it." And it's like, "What did you say?" "I did it." It's like, "What did you say?" "I crashed your fucking car. I did it. I did it." So, in this Bentley, you can't just, the whole entire car had to be repainted again in the special paint. It cost like $5,000.
Oh my.
So you have to bluff a little bit to get to the truth, right?
Yeah.
But you know, it was hard, I'm telling you. And you know, I think that I put myself through it because of childhood stuff, and I endured a lot of you know, very difficult things said to me and treated and badly, and I realized that I needed help, because how could I have not just walked away? How did I feel so insecure that I had to stay and see it all the way through? I have to finish it, you know, when I felt so bad about myself. So after I finished it and, you know, didn't see my name on the cover and all that, my self-esteem was so low. You know, I'd made 2 more albums, Scorpions, Humanity Album 1, which is a masterpiece, and the Rasmus, Black Roses, another masterpiece. I've never produced another band again.
Gotcha.
Ever.
You know
it was just like too much.
Devin, you got to look at the bright side of things, the silver lining, where now you have that experience under your belt, and you know how to recognize it if it ever happens again.
Yeah, I recently had a kid, not a kid, he's already older, that I helped to get into America's Got Talent. And we had a deal, it was like a finder's fee type deal, and he got in. He had already auditioned, got rejected, but I pulled strings. I just insisted that they give him a chance. And they did, and he made it onto the show. And then he like stopped listening to me, and he wouldn't take my advice, and then he got thrown off the show.
Huh.
And then my little commission on the money he made, which was like 10%, was $456. And I put in so much effort for that $456. And he wouldn't pay me. And he even said something insulting to me like, well, I could pay you in Monopoly money. Meanwhile, I wasn't talking to him. My production manager was talking to him. I didn't want to talk to him. And when he said that, I mean, I seriously was thinking of breaking into our Monopoly set, counting up the money and sending it to him in an envelope. You need this more than I do. And it's like, wow. But, the minute he treated me bad, I blocked him every which way. And his mother.
Oh, wow.
And it's like, I'm not going to be treated that way. I'm Desmond fucking Child, man.
Yeah.
But you see, it's like feelings are feelings. And so easily, but it was quick. It wasn't 9 months. It was like, okay, this is the kind of person that I don't want to be with. Right? So sometimes you have to, be tough like that. And, I'm less and less inclined to try to build somebody from scratch. And my success has really been people that were already made. And I just helped to make them better, because it was clear who they were. They'd already been vetted, their personalities, their style, their everything. Then I can really help. But to invent somebody who doesn't even have the knowledge, that you can't treat somebody like me like that, it's like, when I was young, I had managers, and they helped me before I got the record deal when I was in Desmond Child and the Rouge, so I could quit. I was driving a cab on the weekends. I was at a sporting goods store selling sneakers. I was in between. I did copying, Xerox copies at a college thing. And I could stay home and just write songs. In 2 years, they spent $28,000 on me. It was costumes and all kinds of things, musicians, rehearsals, demos, everything. And as soon as I made money from KISS, I paid them every penny back, and also continued paying them their royalty, through life of copyright, 37 more years.
Man, that's insane. That's like totally crazy.
Anybody else would have just blown them off and said, okay, what, sue me. But that's not the way I am.
Nah.
Because I believe there's an objective reality. I believe there's truth. And I don't believe that there's retribution if you're bad, or do the wrong things or are hateful or anything like that. I don't think there's any retribution. The only thing is that you diminish your own soul. You take the shine off your own soul when you're dishonest. And I believe in. You diminish your own experience of life because you you undermine your own self-esteem. You undermine your own self-esteem when you say, you know what, I'm not a good person. I know that, and maybe I don't deserve for good things to happen to me because I'm a bad. What?
No. But the fact of the matter is, Desmond, you've earned it is like a fucking understatement to say the least. But you deserve a certain amount of respect, and when you're taking your time to give people the time to work with them, to coach them, to give them advice, the least they can do is honor your agreements, your contracts, and your things like that. So I definitely understand for sure where you're coming from. I know the guys do, and all that kind of stuff. And one of the things we always want to take a second here at the Metal Summit as well is always to thank the companies and the endorsers that work with us and that support us to allow us to continue to bring these great episodes. So we always want to take a second to thank Bradley Entertainment, Brad, Angie, and Dawn for everything that they do in supporting our show. We want to thank Levy Metal Enterprises, Custom Guitars. We thank him so much, Levin Lewis, for being involved with us. Saren Cadaver, Horror Decor out of Rhode Island with Twisted Vines. Thank you so much as well. And, of course, we also want to thank TMS alumni, Mark Hall, Janet Romero from Rock and Horror Apparel for the custom clothes that they do with their company and clothing members of the Metal Summit. So we really appreciate them so much for being involved with us. For all the fans that have been sticking with us, we've got our feelers out and talking with a couple of cool things. Hopefully we'll have some announcements for you soon, but anybody else who wants to be involved with us, reach out, talk with us, help us build as well, build with us while we continue to grow as well. So we definitely appreciate everybody for watching and who is involved with us. Psycho Steve, man, it's about that time. Let's get you back in here, friend.
Okay. Yeah. Question of the night is, what is next for Desmond as far as in who is the bucket list? The last time you and I spoke, and you texted me that amazing song you did with Barbra Streisand, Lady Liberty. But when we talked last year on Hair Today, Gone Tomorrow, we talked about you doing the bucket list for singing or writing with Adele. Now she's come back somewhat out of semi-retirement because she was on SNL. Any possibly chance of you writing with her? Or
I don't have a way into her. I don't. I've tried, and other people that I know, friends of mine, they somehow got in, and wrote songs with her, and I didn't get in, and maybe it was because I was in Nashville a lot, with my family, and she didn't come by here. She was in LA more and London. So, those are the kind of sacrifices that I made, when Curtis and I decided we weren't going to raise our sons in LA.
Right.
And so so what's next for me is, doing all this legacy stuff, my book, my documentary. I'm also putting together my mother's book of poetry and working on the book with Jody Marr. It's going to be called Anatomy of a Hit, Masterclass in Songwriting. It's Desmond Child with Jody Marr. And this thing is deep. And hopefully we'll get that out in next year because it's going to be the definitive book on songwriting. And I'm also in a production team. We've been working on it for a long time. It's a television series. It's like a limited series called Transcon, The Making of Lou Pearlman and the Boy Band Revolution.
Very cool.
And set in Orlando. And so my collaborator, Andreas Carlson, and I mean, we've had many deals that fell through, but we're still on it and want it to happen. And we have an incredible team, Pressman Film and David Anton and all these people, Greg Basser. So this is the thing that I came to. I want to be a buyer, not a seller. I don't want to be with my hat in my hand hoping Selena Gomez cuts a song I have 5 co-writers on.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
not a business.
No.
I want to figure out 25 songs that are going to go into a movie or a television series. I want to be working and coming up with them, and I decide what songs go in. So I've been writing musicals. There's one called Cuba Libre, which is the true story of my family before and after the Cuban Revolution. And, it's unbelievable. Like, it's Les Mis with bongos. It's like huge, like epic, historic musical. And I'm working on a show called Bye Bye Love, which is the love story of Boudleaux and Felice Bryant. They were the first professional songwriters in Nashville. They were a songwriting husband and wife team, and they wrote all the songs for the Everly Brothers. They wrote Love Hurts, Nazareth. Dream, 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 like Wake Up Little Susie, Bye Bye Love, so many hits. And so we've been working on it for the last COVID time, right? We meet on Zoom call, the team that's working on it. It's fun working with other people. And in this case, I'm not writing any music. Maybe I'll write some orchestral music or something like that along the way, but I'm writing the book with my collaborators, what they say, what happens in the story. So that's a whole other part of creativity that's really very much fun. And I have some other things I can't reveal too soon, but I just want to be working on big projects. I want to touch the world with things that transform you. You walk in and you don't leave the same. Maybe a 4-minute song can do that, but when you have 2 hours, you can really transform somebody's life. Look at what Hamilton has done for people. That's like so transformative. And I want to be doing stuff like that.
Right on.
And I want to keep singing, and I want to do some acting too. So I want to do a nightclub act where in a little club in New York and sing standards. Jimmy Webb songs. A friend of mine who's on the board of ASCAP with me. And for Backrack, or and then have special guests come and sing with me, like not for money, because it probably costs me more than I could ever make, but just for the experience and training up my voice to go for a goal like that, to like sing a song and make it come to life. I would love to do that. So it's like I once saw Dolly Parton on Larry King's show, right? And he goes, look, you've done everything. You even have an amusement park. You've done movies. You've done. Why do you keep working? What are you doing? Why don't you just, enjoy your life? She said, I am enjoying my life, but I want to be an active participant in the entertainment business for the rest of my life, because that's what I enjoy. And just that term, active participant. So that could take the form of being a producer or an actor, a singer, writing the music, the book, helping to design the set, whatever it is. It's expanding your creativity, as far as you can go. Somebody once asked Picasso, because they saw that he had been writing some poetry. They said, why are you bothering with that? Instead of writing that, draw a drawing and it's going to be worth so much more. And he said, an artist has to travel to different shores to then come back and do what they do great, And I just always remember that quote. And so that's I want to, share that. Don't compress, like your potential. Just keep all your options open and try to do 10 projects at the same time. And, something's going to happen just by sheer volume. It's like buying, 100,000 lotto tickets. One of them's got to be good, So that's my parting. Those are my parting words.
Absolutely.
My parting words are fix your fate.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fix my fate. Yeah, I'm going to fix my fate, all right. It's not going to go the way it was meant to. It's going to be better.
Absolutely, 100%. Bobby, we're going to kick it over to you, my friend, but I do also want to take a quick second. Hey, Metal Summoners, all of Desmond's fans, it is last call for alcohol, guys. Put your comments right into the feed if you want to ask any questions or comments of Desmond. We got a couple more questions from the panel that we're going to hit him with, but it is last call for alcohol for you guys, so put those comments in. Bobby Dreyer, take it away, brother.
Desmond, couple things. Big names. Linda Perry, Shane McNally, and my buddy and my brother of another mother, Mark Hudson, and you. Thank you so fucking much for making me accept who I am over the years of loving rock and roll, coming out. I hid myself. I didn't swing the door open for a long time, but it was people like you. When Hudson grabbed me and goes, be you. And seeing Linda Perry work with Pink, who lives in my neighborhood here in Doylestown, Pennsylvania, Shane McNally with you in Nashville, and then you, when everything thank you for making me be a 56-year-old kid from Levittown, Pennsylvania, going, I can be who I am. Dude, I'm going to quote you a line right now of something you wrote. Why don't you go outside and kiss the rain? Thank you. Thank you so fucking much, Desmond Child.
Well, I'm glad that, that people are inspired not only by my music, but my life. And, the thing is that, please, people, we can't live in a world that's lies. There is one objective reality, only not your idea of the truth, someone else's. There's only one. It is or it isn't. We need to live in a world of truth. And so being yourself, is expressing what is. And so, that's like number one, and it applies to all things. So that's what I want to say about that.
But thank you, Desmond. Dude, you look. Wow, you inspire so many people, and you give us hope, to keep going on. And it's go a little bit beyond that. When you were working, look, we're all products of the 80s here. When you were working with these artists in the 80s, they knew who you were. Did you have to hide yourself? Or did they say, fuck it, he's a great songwriter, I just want to work with him?
I think that because I was in this mind cult, when I was working with all these bands, the head of it had this philosophy that there was no such thing as sexuality, that either you were engaged in sex at that moment, and that when you weren't, that didn't make you anything. And so at that time, because I didn't have a partner, I didn't have anybody, so I wasn't living a lifestyle that was like gay, even though I had those feelings inside. And I'd had, women also in my life. So I was, was a little bit like, oh, I'm like, David Bowie or something. I don't know, androgynous.
Yeah.
So basically, I participated in writing some of the most, kind of like hetero rock songs of all time, just there always was a bad girl that was trying to take advantage of the good guy, and all that theme was a lot in the songs. So I didn't talk about it, and they were too embarrassed to ask me, and so it just wasn't said. So it wasn't like I was out. The thing was that telltale signs, they go off to their AA meeting and I stay back. They felt comfortable with me, like hanging out in the kitchen with the wife. And then pretty soon I was like reorganizing the pillows on their couch. And they come back and I said, what's different here? Well, Desmond helped me like rehang that painting, and so those were like, so those were like telltale signs they should have known. But
thank you.
Much later, of course, like John and Dorothea Bon Jovi, they're John's one of the godfathers of my sons. So, they all loved and met Curtis. And as soon as you meet Curtis, he's so nice and so pure and so wonderful and warm and caring and thoughtful that people like me because they like him, Yeah. Because I can be a bit intense and intimidating, and I can look at somebody all the way through, scan them all the way through, because that's my job, So
my partner is a former congressman, so I know what you're going through, and I know what Curtis goes through. But like I said, from the bottom of my heart, and a lot of our audience who are out there, thank you for giving hope. It's beautiful to see that there are people like yourself and Shane and Linda and Mark Hudson and people doing that. And
yeah, well, I'm the only thing gay about Mark Hudson is his beard, his rainbow beard. So let's not lump him in. But for many decades,
I could bring you into that fold. No.
But I was the only out gay producer in the record business ever till Linda Perry came along.
Wow.
And then it was just the two of us. And then, of course, Shane, I have a funny story with Shane. So I'd come to Nashville and we were living here already in our house and everything. And so I was writing with Bob Ezrin and Kristen Chenoweth. And my publisher said, hey, there's this guy, Shane McAnally. Why don't you bring him into your session? Because we had a great title that Bob and Kristen Chenoweth had come up with called "What Would Dolly Do?" So we're writing, and this little shy redhead, he looked like a little bit like Ed Sheeran kind of thing, like very, very shy, very, very freckly and red, and very quiet. And we're doing the song, and then I had come up with this line that says, "I'm going to pull that wig right off the shelf. I'm going to walk right out, find somebody else." Like pull that wig right off the shelf, right? And he looked up and he says, "I like that." And Kristen and I looked at each other, and we looked at him and we said, "Are you gay?" All he said was, "I like that." And he looked down and he said, "Yep." And it was like, "Oh my God, welcome homo. We love you. This is fantastic." And that song just like got written so fast. It's a fun song. But by the way, my husband and I co-produced a documentary on our family, and it's called Two: The Story of Roman and Nero, TWO. And the title is based on John Bon Jovi's poem that he wrote to our sons when we did a blessing when they were 6 months old. And it's the story of our journey of our family. And our sons narrate the film. And it's so sweet. It's on Amazon Prime or something.
I'm
and,
getting it right now.
and iTunes too. And you'll know more about me than you would ever want to know by watching that.
I'm gonna just elaborate again. I'm down in Nashville a lot. My partner and I, we work with Terry Reed, who plays at Nero's. We lived in Green Hills, so we do a lot. But Terry was Burt Bacharach. Bacharach's singer, and the guy who did Everything Is Beautiful. Crap. No, it's forgetting,
What, everything
and Ronnie
is beautiful.
Engelbert Humperdinck.
No. And she also did background for Ronnie Millsap, but her name's Terry Reed. But we're in Nashville a lot, and we both lived there. Tony ran Gore's campaign, so let's get together. Your husband, my husband, we'll have a blast. But thank you so much.
We'll have a gay old time.
Yeah, it'd be like the Flintstones. Yabba dabba.
I should say an old gay time instead of gay old time.
All right, Jay, back to you, brother.
No worries, brother. It's all good. We're always happy to for all the feel-good moments, for sure. Desmond, one thing I wanted to touch on, just a little thing for myself. You talked about being a chameleon when you went into working with bands, and you also talked about, writing the song Poison with Alice Cooper, which is a time-tested song. It actually is very near and dear to myself personally. My relationship as a fan to Alice's music, and so on and so forth. But what I wanted to ask you that kind of bridges off of that song is Alice Cooper has always, of course, been known for this legendary stage show. When you're writing songs with a certain performer, do you ever take their live show into consideration while writing a song, thinking about how they would perform it live with the show that they do?
No, because you can't do that. Everything starts with a song. So then they build their show on the song.
Sure.
They'll come up with something, to make their show different. But with Alice Cooper, when I met him, he really explained that, Alice Cooper is a character that he invented. I mean, his band was called Alice Cooper. And so then people started calling him Alice Cooper, and then it just stuck. That's how it was, So he explained that, he's the son of a preacher. So he's actually very spiritual, very gentle, beautiful person. And yet, in society, we love a good villain. But he said in the world of Alice Cooper, if he cuts the head off of a doll, by the end of the show, his head has to be cut off in the guillotine. Because there's a moral, you don't just get away with everything. He never can get away with anything. He's punished for his misdeeds. And he's a delicious, dark, archetype that people love that. And it lets us have that fantasy because we all have that reptilian, devilish part in ourselves. But he plays that out on stage, so then we can go home and be nice people.
Gotcha. No, for sure. Totally, absolutely, totally makes sense. And I mean, that song is, no, I don't think that song has ever left his set since you wrote it. Like, every time I've seen Alice, it's always been right there. Jason, let's bring you in, my friend. You've been very patient.
So, Desmond,
I gave Jason an education tonight, so they're like.
So Desmond, so Alice Cooper is a son of a preacher man. I had to throw that in there, but really quick, there was a question that I had. Okay, so, all right. So earlier you mentioned that there's going to be there's the Amazon film, the Amazon.com, the Amazon Prime film about your family.
Yeah,
To
two.
story of, and you can look on the website, which is tothedocumentary.com.
I just got
TWO.
it. It's also on iTunes.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't want to ask anything that's going to give anything away, but if you had the choice to choose what actor would play you, who would play you? Who would you want to play you?
Like famous actor? I mean,
Well, in the movie,
Sure, yeah. Like if they
I
did a
would go
biopic
Johnny.
or like you ended up in a movie as a character, who would be you as that? Who what actor that we're all aware of, I guess, would or you would are aware of that would be you, that would play you in the movie about you.
but
Go naughty.
like
Go naughty.
in today or like of all time?
Anytime.
Johnny
Why not
Combs.
both? Why not
No.
both?
I would say Marlon Brando,
Nice.
Very
Al
interesting.
Pacino.
Very
because
interesting.
we have a little bit of a resemblance,
Okay.
and people always said that. So I would pick him, and I think he'd do a good job at being troubled, and just I feel him, and so I'm very much into him, especially in context with The Godfather, which is my like all time
Nice.
obsession.
Cool.
So, but of people today, I just wouldn't know because I can't. Oh, I can't think of anybody really that is like me in that sense. I can't see the objective reality of that. I'd have to, audition people. But there will be a movie about me in time because that book is going to
Yeah.
make an amazing movie, So, yeah, because think about all the people that I worked with and, my living vicariously through them and my jealousy that songs that I was working on made them even bigger, and then me not being able to get in the spotlight, it just wasn't in the cards for me, and but yet it's just it's irony. I think it's tension of opposites, you know because it's like wanting to be something, and yet the parade passes you by. But you wrote the song that they're playing in the parade.
I have another question for you. Follow up. Follow up. So okay. You wrote a lot of songs that have become hits and for other people, as well as yourself. Um, you touched on something that I'm kind of curious about. The jealousy aspect of it. So if you were to way back when not go in the direction that you went in, and then you actually went out to the front of the stage and did your music and sang, as you mentioned before, um, I'm sure that the songs that you wrote now would be slightly different or non-existent. But my question for you right now, because of this, is would you what I'm trying to figure out how to word this. Uh, if you took that leap where you went in front of the stage and and took your life in a different direction, where you became that rock star that you always wanted to be, would I'm kind of lost right now. I just
Is it something like Jason? If you don't mind
it's
me
like an
coming in,
alternate universe,
is
you know.
it something like? Do you think it would affect his songwriting ability if he had like been more out front as a performer like that?
I First of all, I wouldn't have written all the songs I did. And
That's
if I had come up
I
with
kind of figured that. But
if I had come up with more hits or whatever and had my run, you know, it's like my songs have touched every corner of the world, you know, and every day, every second, they're being played somewhere. And so I would never have had that kind of reach had I been the star. I would have had to be so exceptional that like everybody in the world knew me. And look at what happened to Michael Jackson. You know, it's like it's not a great place
I blame
to
it
be.
on the monkey. All about the monkey.
I was a fan of Bubbles, so
have you ever met
you know
Michael?
you can't say anything bad about Bubbles, right? But I'm saying he couldn't have been bigger. Look at Elvis Presley, and I'm very friendly with Linda Thompson, and you know she was the one that actually bought the furniture when they were together for
Oh my God, wasn't that funny
the
as shit?
the Jungle Room. But
Oh,
anyway, she, you know, it was like he had been the biggest star of all time. He did movies, records. He had his own style. He like had so much. He had beauty. He had everything going for him. And when those Beatles came, it was like his era was over. It was over. And same with the Everly Brothers. They looked at that Ed Sullivan show just like I can imagine all those bands.
it was like hair bands looking at Nirvana.
Exactly. It was like, wow, you instantly become a legacy act. And so, you know, but when you're that big, there's no coming back from that. And it's a very terrible place to be. It really is. So I don't know if my given everything in my past, I don't know if I would have been a good star in terms of being able to handle all that. I just don't know. I think maybe I would have been so, because I am competitive, so aggressive, you know, that I would have been bloodthirsty to keep fame. I don't know.
Um, I, I guess I mean I completely understand that we don't know alternate universes, unless you watch like shows with alternate universes. But you mentioned Michael Jackson. Oh, well, I mentioned Michael Jackson. Who? Wait, did you or I mention Michael Jackson? I don't remember.
I mentioned him.
Okay, so I just a little tidbit. The way that okay, so in the '80s, there's pop music. I know this is a metal show, but pop music. There was Michael Jackson, and then there was also Madonna. Yes, they dated one day. They went on one date that I'm aware of. But they, to me, compare to today's, well, maybe 10 years ago, Jay-Z and Beyonce. I just wanted to throw that out. The stature of the two, because in the 80s,
Right.
with pop music, the Michael Jackson and Madonna were the king and queen, just like Jay-Z and Beyonce were king and queen. I mean, realistically, I think Beyonce goes by Queen Bee. So I just want to throw it out there. I know it has nothing to do with
Well,
metal and rock
look,
and whatever, but you
let's-
mentioned Michael Jackson, and that's where my head went.
Nah, you're good, dude.
in the beehive, man, of humanity, you know, a queen will pop up, you know, and so king or queen. My songs, Kings and Queens, that I
Yes.
have out now with David Max. But the fact is that we are drawn to archetypes. Humanity is. The closer your archetype, the closer you as an artist are to an immortal archetype, the more successful you're going to be. And so, you know, not everybody's meant to be famous. That would be awful. And we'd have a world full of Trumps, you know,
Or fabulous people.
are very fabulous people. But, you know, there have to be leaders and audience, or stars and audience, leaders, followers. It's like those people were born for that. You know, they had what it took. And, you know, I think that, and they worked hard for it, and they had magic, you know, all those people you mentioned, they have it if they're still alive. And it never goes away, like Cher. And so I think that we look at it this way. What is a star? It's our adoration, like a light that reflects off of them. The more people that are throwing their light and energy towards them, the brighter they're going to shine. And when those lights start flickering out, that person stops being a star, a shining star. Their star gets smaller. Then they go on Hollywood Squares or Dancing with the Stars.
Is the Masked Dancer now? What the fuck?
Yeah. Oh, the Masked Singer.
Yeah.
So anyway, I need to stop because it's been a really super long day and stressful with my friends in the hospital and everything. And I need to check up on them and stuff. But, you know, it's been fun with you guys. And when my book comes out, I hope you invite me back.
Oh my God,
We'd love
Desmond.
to have you back. Absolutely. Real quick, Desmond, if you don't mind, just a quick final question, because I just think it's important to your legacy. Can you simply talk briefly about how it felt being inducted into, of course, the Songwriters Hall of Fame?
Well, I had been nominated 2 times before I finally got it. And then there was, after the second time, there was 8 years before I was nominated again. Meanwhile, friends of mine were already in it long, you know, like Diane Warren. People would come into the business 10 years after me, were already in it because whatever, they whatever. But that was a incredible thing. It's like the biggest honor. And I'm on the board of it now, but my mom was able to be there. So I thanked her from the stage, and she stood up because, you know, she's a star too. And she turned around and looked at the audience, and, you know, she got like almost a standing ovation, you know, because it was like she was getting the award, you know. And it was fantastic. And I did an 8-song medley.
Wow.
One hit after the other. And Rouge was up on stage, and we had street percussionists on the floor, and we had their whole band, and it was like over the top. And so it was one of the greatest moments of my life. And of course, having Joan Jett, you know, induct me. What could be better than that? What could be more cred than that? So
that's awesome.
You know, that's why after joining then after that, they invited me to be on the board because they wanted some more younger members. And that then I found out that I was only the third person of Latin origin to be in the Songwriters Hall of Fame. It was Joe Beam and Ernesto Lecuona from Cuba.
Wonderful.
Wow.
That was it in 50 years. So that's why I felt the need, like they created the Latin Grammys to create the Latin Songwriters Hall of Fame. And if you go on to latinsonghall.org or La Musa Awards or whatever, you will see, you know, like what we created. And so, you know, and it's the most prestigious award in Latin music because most award shows are just celebrating last year's hit. It's part of the record company's promotion. But this is, you have to have worked for 20 years minimum to be inducted. And it's, we have 24 nominees, and it's, 12 of them are performing songwriters and 12 of them are non-performing songwriters, so that the people behind the scenes get a chance too, like me, because before it was just Paul Simon and, all these, like stars were getting in, and the people that were their co-writers that might have written on all kinds of other hits were never getting recognized. So that's how the Songwriters Hall of Fame is. It's divided. And so is the Latin Songwriters Hall of Fame at that. And, on the board of ASCAP, I'm on the legislative committee. So I've gone to Washington many times to lobby, to work, for the Music Modernization Act, which was one of the, few pieces of legislation that both houses of Congress, both parties, there was not one person that didn't go for it. And that was one of the very few, legislations in the last 4 years that made it with everybody on board.
Hey, Desmond,
yeah.
Real quick before you get into that, if you need any help with my partner was the author of the ADA, Americans with Disability Act, we're very active in Washington. Whatever you need help with down there, let's get in contact.
Okay, can you get me the Pfizer vaccine? Can you help me jump the line? I want the vaccine so bad. I want to come out of COVID prison, man. I want to get on a plane.
We all do. I kept yelling at him. I was like, rock and rollers first.
Right.
But in any case, to all the young people, that's why I say get involved with your, with your PRO, ASCAP, CSAC, BMI, GMR, whatever. Get involved. Know what's going on, because the things that those people decide that don't even know what a song is affect your life for the rest of your life. Copyright laws, all these things. It behooves you, to like get involved and fight for a raise, because streaming brought us down to nothing, man. And when ASCAP first started, 104 years ago, whenever it was, at that time, sheet music was 2 cents. Now, our song is worth point something, much less than 2 cents. So in 100 years, the value of music has gone down instead of up. I mean, that's crazy shit. So I say, stay in touch, get on board with SOMA, Southern. Well, I forget what that NSAI. I mean, there are all these organizations, and it's important to get on board and go on their Zoom calls and do whatever it takes, because it's going to take all of us working together to lift the ability for people to be working songwriters and not just hobbyists.
Very cool. Desmond, real quick, it's Jay's birthday, and I know you're a songwriter, but can you sing happy birthday to Jay for his birthday today? Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jay. Happy birthday to you.
Yeah, that's how you end a metal summit.
I was listening.
So amazing.
Love you guys.
Thank you so much. Take care, Desmond. You will absolutely be back when your book is out.
Okay, thank you
Love
so
you.
much.
See you in
Love you.
Nashville. Tony,
Take care. Love you too, brother. For all you
Bye.
Metal Summoners, thank you guys so much. We do apologize. We weren't able to do that final round of questions, but as you guys know from watching us, it's very important for us to value our guests' time. And when they got to go, they got to go because we really appreciate them taking the time to come out to us. So thank you so much, Desmond Child. We really appreciate you this evening, man. Get some rest, get some sleep. My
Love you,
God, you
Desmond.
burned it.
Thank you.
Bye.
Stay with us, Metal Summoners, of course. Hit up all of our social medias. Hit us up on, hit that YouTube page and subscribe so you can see all of the interviews that we do. Make sure that you're following us and liking us on Twitter, on Instagram, and of course on Facebook right here where we're doing all of these shows live. And we have a Twitch as well. So make sure that you're hitting all of those up. The Metal Summit across the board at Metal Summit for Twitter. And we really appreciate you guys as always. We got our guest announcement on Friday. We got a fun one for you next week. As always, man, stay tuned. We love you. Thank you guys so much for giving me a really rad birthday episode. For Bobby Dreyer, for The Psycho Steve, for Jason Earlswag, for Angel Alamo, I'm Jay. Again, for Desmond Child, we really appreciate him very much. We'll see you guys. Announcement coming up. We'll see you guys next week. This has been the Metal Summit.
Yeah.